You should have desserts though. You good to go? Thank you, Dean. I'm gonna call the meeting to order if I could, which is a privilege, and I could ask the clerk to do the roll call, please.
Sue Sherman.
Here.
Liz Costa.
Present.
Catherine Consalvo.
Here.
Lauren Schlurf.
Here.
Karen White.
Here.
Katie Knudsen.
Here.
Julie Hammond.
Here.
Brian Smith.
Here.
And Sheila Lowe's.
Here.
And Sabrina Albert. Sorry, we're on the other line. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Lauren, you were just the last one I looked at. Could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lauren, thanks so much. In terms of review and discussion for RSA chapters, there's 3 that was in your packet. I believe that was electronic for you and also hard copy. You're looking at chapters 32, 33, and 195. We certainly wanted to make sure that all members would have those in front of them. Is there any discussion among the members of this committee prior to moving on and trying to find us a chair for the next budget cycle? All right, seeing none, we'll move over to elections. Agenda item number 5, I will entertain a motion for chair. Sheila?
Motion for Liz Costa to the chair.
There's a motion for Liz. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Julie. Discussion on that motion.
Sure. No one's jumping out. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz. You're welcome.
Discussion with a period. All right, any further discussion? All of those who approve, please show a show of hands.
And abstaining.
Enough time for you, Heather? All those opposed? And any abstentions? Thank you,
That
Liz.
would be me.
And Madam Chair, I would turn over the rest of the organizational meeting to you.
Okay, so we now need to find vice chair. I'm looking for some motions on the floor. Mrs. Lowe's.
A motion for Karen White to be vice chair if she'll accept it.
I will accept.
I'll second that. Okay, and we had some seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
That's why she
Okay.
Liz.
All 9? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Good job. Any other, thank you, ma'am.
Here we go.
Any other elections do we need to do? At this point, we need to do the recording secretary.
That's
Before we did that, there's an other here for C.
Yep, that's what I'm,
Just to point out to the chair, we could, there's typically, I believe, a member of this committee that's appointed to the CIP committee through the school district. And I don't think that necessarily has to be right now, but we will continue to meet in that committee on the school side moving forward through the summer into the fall. So when this committee is ready to do that, we would certainly want that member to be participating with us on the flip side.
okay. Is there anybody who would like to nominate someone to be on the CIP? Anybody
It's
have
not
an
an
interest?
elected position.
I
you
understand.
appoint.
Yeah, I need to appoint. Oh my
It's an
goodness.
appointment, well, that's
Yeah.
what the bylaws say, just tell
I know, it is. Anybody have any interest in doing it? If not, I'll step up and do it. You'll do it? Okay, and I'll be your backup. Okay,
Also,
Yeah, it's good to have an alternate.
happy to back up if needed.
yeah, so that's what I did last year. We had the person and the alternate, and then Karen and I, if someone couldn't attend, if they let us know, we would jump in. Okay, so I'll guess that's it, because you'll be on it for the town, correct?
If I'm appointed again.
If you're
yes,
appointed
so,
again,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions or concerns? Is consensus, or should we take a vote? All those in favor of the backup in the CIP person. Just want to make it official that we're,
On an elected position.
so, all right, we're good. Next, sir, we need to appoint the recording secretary of Heather Greenfield if she'll come back.
Appoint or
It
motion?
says appointments, 5.
There you go.
Yep. Thank you, Heather, for that. And any other appointments we need to make besides the CIP? Nope.
So any other committees do?
I asked about those I asked about the strategic plan, and that wasn't something for this year.
Okay.
So
It will be in the future for sure.
it will be, yeah, so we'll look at that
That'd be
moving,
good to have the CIP representatives to that, because that's a good connection back
yes,
and forth.
absolutely, okay, so, review and adopt bylaws, we have the bylaws that we review and adopt every year. Talks about the annual organization, what the regular budget committees are, meetings are. Attendance is, if you fail to attend 2 successive meetings without being excused by myself, Heather will notify me and the moderator of the district regarding attendance. We need a quorum. To start, we kind of go with the Robert's Rules of Order. And does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything they'd like to have looked at with the bylaws? Okay, we'll need
Motion to adopt the bylaws.
a motion to adopt the bylaws by Mrs. Lowe's,
Second,
second by Mrs. Sherman. All those in favor? Unanimous. And I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and I'm gonna roll right into the Budget Committee meeting. I'm going to move the call to order, the roll call, the pledge, as we've already done that. I need approval of the minutes for January 9th, 2025, the 16th of January for the public hearing, after the public hearing, in February 6th, after the deliberative session.
We'll need motions to accept each of them
Each of
individually.
them individually, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the January 9th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
second.
And we have a second. Any discussion?
There needs to be a correction on those minutes, Liz.
Okay,
So I don't appear as a present, but
okay.
I made motions. So
We need to add Sue to the attendance.
Some magic.
it was magic, I guess, yeah.
Telepathic. Okay, so we'll correct
catch.
that, yes. Any other corrections? We'll just make sure Sue's in there.
Just add in the roll call.
To the roll call. So all those in favor? 8, opposed, 0, abstained, 2. January 16th, the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for January 16th, 2025 public hearing.
Okay,
I
so,
do have a correction.
yeah, I see the
It's-
correction up top. It should have myself as chair and Karen White as the vice chair. Any other changes or corrections that need to be made? Okay, all those in favor?
Did someone second the motion?
I will second the motion to accept the corrected
Okay. Thanks.
minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We made the correction. All those in favor? Sue, are you in favor?
I
Or you
wasn't at
still-
the meeting.
Okay, so that would be 7, all those opposed, and abstentions, 3. And then February 6th, after the after the, January 16th, after the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the January 16th, 2025 after public hearing meeting minutes.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I'll second.
And second by Sabrina. Any corrections? All those in favor? 7. All those opposed? None. Abstained? 3. And then February 6th, after the deliberative session.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of February 6, 2025 after deliberative session.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7 opposed, 0 abstained, 3. All right. So do we have any correspondence? All right, we have no correspondence. Any delegates or individuals? Nope. Administrative report.
Liz, I could do 3 things tonight. I'd like to look ahead. I know we're here to talk through fiscal 27 and start planning in that direction. I want to give a current couple updates where we are current right now in school systems. But also third, I wanted to close with the presentation I gave the school board on March 20th to give this committee an idea of where the fiscal 26 budget currently stands right now. So I'm going to start looking ahead. I think I've said this repeatedly through the community throughout the year. We should be engaging in a process that's going to be able to serve students and taxpayers. I think we can do both at the same time. I do not think those things are mutually exclusive one another, and I'll look forward to working with the chair and the vice chair to set up effective meeting structures and information for this group to really dig down and process and engage with us over the cycle. So we're getting a budget out to the community in a timely manner. On that note, I want to kind of just really outline the challenge for everybody right now and just thinking about time. Fiscal 27, the first check of the budget that we're going to write isn't going to be cut for another 15 months from tonight. The last check of the budget that we're going to cut isn't going to be cut until 27 months from tonight. So it is a process and a thing about looking out into the future and being able to forecast as accurately as I can. But it is a challenge I think that this group is going to be committed to see through. The last thing I close with simply right now, Liz, I like for the committee to think about the prospect of having a student be a representative on this committee moving forward. Historically, the school boards associations and school boards across the state of New Hampshire have done that. I'm not aware of a whole lot of student participation at the budget committee level, but it's of an interest to this group. I would like to explore with our team here and see if there's some curricular tie-ins at the high school level, maybe in some of the CTE accounting courses that are going on, and to have some participation at this level here.
Okay.
In terms of happening right now, the update, the last one on the 20th, the school board approved phase 3 of the lease. And we are now currently going to be engaged in a contract around that. It's going to be some pretty substantial work that's continuing in Atkinson Academy. It involves HVAC updates, control updates for the most part. There's also work at Sandown North in that phase as well, being control updates, the beginning of the work at Sandown North. The other thing that has been substantial capital investments from the district over the course of time is the new track is going to have its first home meet in the first time in April since the 17-18 school year here in Timberlane. So we're going to do a ribbon cutting for that activity, and the kids are excited about that. We're also going to host our first home tennis meet again in April for the first time in a while as well. So the students and teams are excited about that. Enrollment-wise, kindergarten, we finished all of our kindergarten nights at our schools within like the last week. Really wanted to encourage families. The registration process is still open. If you miss those informational evenings, it's a real simple process. Just please call your school, talk to the principal that's there, and that individual will guide you for the information that you need. Again, we're looking for students that are 5 years old by September 30th of 2025. Another way to think about that, and I needed to write it down because it's tough. You need to be born between October 1st, 2019 and September 30th of 2020. So we'll welcome the new students into the Timberlane School District next year. Thoughts about looking ahead. I wanted to close tonight by looking at the fiscal 26 budget, walking people through and giving the same update I gave to the board last week, and also mapping out what to expect at the next April 3rd board meeting. Dean, do you have something that we can show folks here? And I'm just going to move for ease of facilitating talking through the slides for you. Thanks.
I can see fine.
27 girls tried out for tennis.
So again, this is the same presentation the school board received on the 20th of March. And it was giving a framework and an update of where we are on the required budgetary reductions. So what we did at the board level first is that we did some simple mathematical kind of equations to get to a number. We needed to set a target. That target is simple calculation of looking at the proposed budget. Again, that was the budget that came out of the budget committee. Taking away or reducing the reductions at deliberative, that equals our voted budget. And then the delta between the proposed budget and the voted budget, you can see they're at $6,626,151. That was the task of me and my team working with the school board to find those reductions in the existing pieces. So we have our target. We engaged in a process that looked very like this. We had 3 teams engaged in planning and preparation. That was my direct leadership team, the group of principals and directors here in the Timberlane Regional School District, and members of the school board. We had that discussion that I'm showing you and giving you here tonight on the 20th, and then seeking some direction, which I'll close with tonight for you. We're looking at the school board meeting for April 3rd, where I'll report more specifics and be looking for action from the board to approve that plan. The framework of that plan is going to look like this. This is where we landed as of last report. We're looking to reduce the salary and benefits line. You can see that number there at $3,532,403 as a framework. This includes 3 specific pieces of information. One is a reduction of 36 positions. Of those 36 positions, they have the following 3 levels of breakdown. 4 of those will be reduced through attrition. Those are folks that are moving on, resigning, and retiring, and we're not going to fill the position. 22 of them are currently open and vacant. So we'd be eliminating the position, not able to hire in that place, but there's no human being currently occupying it. And 10 of them would be a reduction in force. These are human beings currently in positions in our schools that we would look for efficiencies that we would eliminate, and that we would be seeking to let that person know that we would not be offering them a contract for the next school year. That number up top highlighted in yellow also includes additional risk in the health insurance line of $1 million, and it assumes a general attrition of staff across the board of $500,000. I'll figure this out in a second. The other big piece of the reduction that we sought out was from our principal and director group. That number stands at $765,208. That number is made up of 172 discrete line items that they identified in building or department budgets. And I'm just going to give you a brief summary of those now. At the elementary school, the primary focus there of reductions was supplies, equipment, books, and professional development. At the middle school, it included everything from the elementary school in reductions and shifted field trip costs to families. At the high school, it again included everything from the elementary level, and it reduced the CTE transportation that we were looking to add for bus transportation to Salem for CTE students. Pinkerton for CTE students. Thank you. There were some reductions in athletics for supplies, health equipment for the health classes at the high school and middle school, and also forgoing a practice wrestling mat that was in the replacement piece. From music, they're looking to make some reductions to instruments overall, the overhaul of them, looking to reduce the number of new instruments they're providing for students in exploration, and again, passing some of those specialized trip costs off to families. And the curriculum and professional development budget of overall the district was reduced by 45%. We also looked at the big bucket of transportation. We are gonna be confident of the framework that we can reduce that line by $900,000. It's assuming two primary things. One is that our current primary vendor for a student, that's our transportation company, can increase the number of drivers they can hire so we can run routes within that contract and therefore not forced to go out to other transportation vendors for special education transportation. The other risk we're taking is the geographic route risk. These are not just the general buses that run the school, but where these kids live in our community and what schools they're going to has an impact on how many routes need to be run. And we're gonna take some risk there in terms of the geographic landscape of the residents of our students. And the last bucket that we looked at was the capital money in the budget. This is the CIP line specifically. We're looking to reduce that line by $1 million. What I informed the board is that they can, even with that reduction, they can move forward with their current CIP lease, or CIP list. They can use the delta with the lease for next year, and they can still fund all projects that are in the lease in the CIP list for next year. They will run into a problem of any future projects with this reduction. It's about a half or 50% reduction to the line. I also reminded the board that the lease ends and expires in 2043, and that right now as an admin team, we would project 6 or 7 total phases. Again, keeping the phases small to allow for possible prepayment down the road. In terms of summary to the board, looking at all the major buckets I've outlined for you, you can see the grand total there outlined in black. Our target was again in red. So with these reductions, there was still a short variance of north of $400,000. I had asked the board on the 20th for some direction as me and my team went back for the next 2 weeks before coming back with a more refined plan. I asked if they wanted me to look at more positions, they wanted me to assume more risk in some lines, or if they wanted me to take a look at more capital lines. I think the board was unanimous and built consensus that they certainly did not want to look at any more positions, and they encouraged the admin team to be looking at additional risk and perhaps some capital investments. Is there anything that I could answer or that is here presented to you that was also presented to the school board that would help shape kind of where we're at now? April 3rd, again, from the school board is the plan that I'll outline this framework in more specifics. As individual staff have made individual decisions over the course of this time, and we've had some more refined planning time on our end. But my goal is to present a specific line item budget to the board on April 3rd.
I gotta go check through all my notes, sorry. So, question?
Yeah, if I can.
Mhm.
Can you go back to the slide that showed the positions again? So this is a reduction of 36 positions.
Yes, the framework we built as of last Thursday was looking at 36 positions to reduce from the proposed budget that came out of budget committee to align with the voted budget that came out of the deliberative session and then was ratified by the voters on March 11th.
The 22 vacant positions that are not currently filled. Are any of those positions that you come out of, you are contracting out for?
So the challenge there and the risk we are taking is, yes, we're essentially cutting those open positions in this model by 50%.
Yeah.
Which is 17 of the paraeducator positions that are currently funding contracted service providers.
So,
That's a big risk.
It's a risk.
and then I do have a question on piggyback off of that, is the vacant you said 17 paras?
I believe the number 22, I believe incorporated 17 paras.
Okay,
Give
and
me
then,
give me some latitude on the actual
I'll give you a little.
specific.
And then Are there the rest teachers? Are there some that are administrators? In the 4 attrition, how is that broken down?
Because
Is
I
it
was-
just the teaching staff that's going to be hit, or is it going to be global?
Admins.
Admins and,
So 2 things to that. The first is I was really clear with the board that I was not gonna be discussing anything that would be identifiable for
Okay.
people in positions.
okay,
We've got some real strict requirements with our CBAs that I need to go through for employee notification.
Yep.
We're engaged in that process now.
okay,
I hope to complete it by Wednesday.
all right,
The second thing I'd share is that when we were at the Board of Selectmen meetings, I had the same question. It was very clear at that time that if we were looking at position reductions, we're looking at the entire district, all positions in terms of how to make the place run more efficiently. So I would expect there to be a spectrum of positions that are brought forward to the board on April 3rd.
okay. I just, I wanna get out there, I wanna do our due diligence. On the, I don't know if it would be risk piece, curriculum piece, information access fees, is that part of the curriculum piece, or is that
Yes,
a
it's a
different?
large part of the curriculum piece.
Okay.
We are pretty much gonna be limiting our use to iReady and iReady only, and the other kind of portals and systems will be on pause.
Okay, and then the, I think that's it for now. Oh, the, transportation at CTE just to Pinkerton? Or is
What
it?
we're trying to move forward with is to add to the district, to be able to provide the opportunity for kids that wanna take CTE programs that are only offered at Timberlane Academy. Right now, they need to provide their own transportation to
Okay.
Pinkerton. What we're looking to do is fund a bus for those students, so they didn't have to have a license or a car or a ride there and back.
Okay, so you can back that out
We're
of the
gonna
budget.
revert to what the current practice is, but it does not extend that opportunity for a body of students.
Okay, all right, I just wanted clarification, I didn't wanna get it mixed up in my head. Anybody else have questions? Mr. Smith?
So the 22 vacant,
Yes.
there were vacant positions eliminated as part of the original proposed, correct?
17 and a half, I believe.
So is this inclusive of those?
This is independent
This is
of
on
the
top
commission.
of the 17 and a half?
Yes, so again, right, that's a great question, but think about timeline for that. Those budgetary reductions were made through this budget process with this committee and went to the deliberative session in the
Mhm.
proposed budget where that was at the reduced level than the prior year. So yes, independent of the numbers here, I appreciate that clarity.
Mrs. Lowe, sorry, I was doing a little math.
Has the school board approved any retirements or taken any retirements yet?
I don't have that information right now. Have we taken any retirements?
Accepted any?
Accepted any?
We're doing most of our staffing cycling on April 3rd. In terms of if we wanna know, have we taken, the next question may be, have we taken the retirements into consideration into these numbers?
Yes.
That answer is absolutely 100% yes.
Okay, next question. How many open positions do you have left now?
Generally speaking, we cut it in half.
They've got about 30, 32.
I have 17 open and vacant para positions that right now in this model, we are holding on to.
Okay,
And we would like to, just to be clear, hold on to 34 of them because all of them are currently funding contracted services. This number 22 includes 50% of them.
And so to be clear, that those are all positions that we're legally obligated to provide services for students.
At this time, yes.
So cutting them doesn't take away that need, right?
At this time, yes.
Okay,
Which
just
we're
wanna-
overpaying in contracted
Yeah.
services.
And then we're gonna have to come up with that money from somewhere. right?
So the
Correct.
work, if I could,
Mhm.
so the work to do is to have a concentrated effort in support of the board and this committee in terms of funding positions to be able to hire positions. So when we look at our TSSU contract that's upcoming in the next negotiation cycle, let's think about that carefully. And let's attack it with a way to build it as an advantage in our region versus what it is across the region right now. It's very difficult to hire anybody, and we know clearly that it costs us 2 to 3 times more to fill the need. So let's invest in our people that we can hire here.
Any other questions for superintendent? Mrs. Lowe's?
is this PDF or an Excel?
That is a PDF.
It's PDF.
This community needs
the report that I can bring you here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting.
One more question, just one more. Maria, what was the year we are currently in right now, 24-25? What was the contracted obligation number? This year we're in right now, meaning we've been saying it's 83 million. For next year, what is it this year? Right now that we're in.
That was the number for the budget this year. Oh, for the proposed budget in 26, I don't have that breakdown, I can get it for
You
you.
don't know what that was for this year?
I will have to add the lines.
What's this year? This year,
This
the budget-
24-25.
Current budget we're currently in.
Yeah, I will have to add the lines, it's just a matter, an exercise.
No,
of
I'm
adding
just
lines.
asking
I
if
can
we
have
have that off the
number.
top of your head, because we had a clear number for next year's.
Yeah,
But I don't remember a clear number for what we're in right now.
I'm pretty sure I have it, I can
Yeah.
email it to
Okay.
the budget committee. I don't want to rush into it,
No,
and
it's fine,
again,
I'm just.
like I said at the deliberative session, that is not set on stone, right? It's not line by
I agree
line by
100%
line by
with you.
line, right?
I'm just wondering
So I
if
take
we
trans-
had a number for the year we're in right now.
Yeah, no, yes, I can get it for you and I will email it to all of
Whatever,
them.
it's okay.
I don't
just
wanna
wondering.
rush into it.
All right, are we all good? Any
Good.
other questions?
I'd just like to comment about the capital line. So remember, we had kicked that around when we were thinking about budget reductions, those discussions we had, that capital line was 1.8 in the proposed, 1.8 with some, a little bit of change there. And if you go down and reduce the entire CIP line, that would give you your delta of 4, give you more than your delta to cover, right? If you didn't do any of those projects that the CIP committee, which Brian and I served on, didn't do any, there's 1.8, right? So it would give you enough room to maybe save a few positions. I'm just offering that to my school board rep.
School has to- school has to
run with two things, teachers and buildings.
I do have a question on that though. Is there a reason why you can't move the bathrooms to the lease?
Not prepared to discuss that today.
I'm just wondering why that wasn't thought of.
He answered. It's not an energy efficient project.
Essentially, it's all.
Sorry?
It's not an energy efficient project. The lease
Really?
is only energy efficient
Right, but wouldn't
projects.
water savings and lights and energy efficient toilets and energy efficient faucets?
I'd say it's, right now,
Stretch
it's
a little
all
bit.
capital money, and we can make those decisions in the future if we need to
Okay.
be shifting anything.
All right,
Liz, do you need anything else more from me?
I do not believe so. I think we're good to go with this, and I thank you for that information.
Absolutely.
Um,
Liz, moving forward, if you wanted to set up a system with this group, if this group needed anything specific in
Yep.
my superintendent's report as we go through this cycle, please let me know in advance. I'd be
Okay.
happy to provide the information.
So what I think moving forward, what I would like to do is if people have requests, please send it to the superintendent and the business administrator. Also add myself and Karen to that so we know what's being asked for, so it's not redundant for Maria and Justin to have to continue do that. I also, while we're talking about sending emails, if there is correspondence, I would really like to get it prior to the night of the meeting, because Karen and I can't think about it and talk about it if it's in our packet that night. So,
We
all
would
right.
appreciate that clear line of communication.
Thank
very
you.
much.
yes, are we all set with you, sir?
I am all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. Any reports of the budget committee members? We haven't. I think we're good to go. And Mrs. Knudsen, do you have anything from the school board?
Mr. Krieger covered pretty much everything we're doing with it.
No. Thank you. So now we have new business, review of election and recount results. And before we start, I want to thank everybody who was there and participated in that. I arrived as my other role in town as select board member, and I went and I thought I was only going to watch the ballots. I ended up counting and 2:30 till 7:30, and I can definitely count in packs of 25 now. But I appreciate everybody's help, and Bob Harb did a fabulous job with organizing it and coordinating it with Heather. And I want to thank Kevin Major and the moderator from Atkinson and Danville, who also participated, in the town clerks for doing what they needed to do to get the ballots in ready for us to count. So I do appreciate the effort that went in. So there you go. I was amazed at how many people were willing to help.
We had positive reports from members of the community and for that were there as observers and for people that were participating in the counting
yeah,
process.
it was
So it seemed
pretty
to be
well,
a good exercise.
And we're gonna do the report of the recount, or,
Yes.
okay.
So after the recount, we had 13 warrant articles. 11 of those warrant articles passed, 2 of them failed. The 2 articles that failed were Article number 6, lease purchase agreement by petition, and the warrant article number 7, which was the fund balance retention by petition. But that article petition was to rescind the motion, the voting of the warrant article for the 5% retention, fund balance retention. So what this does is it takes away the ability for the school board to retain any funds at the end of the year. So the school board cannot retain any funds at the end of the year.
Yes, sorry.
Well, I have a question at the end of this.
Okay, yep, so let Maria get through and then I will entertain questions.
Also, in the long pages in your package, in the big pages, I added a summary of warrant article number 2. This is a trend report that we keep track here, just for article number 2, which is the budget. So it's a trend report throughout the years for every single town, how many votes yes, how many vote no, and at the bottom, you can see it as a percentage of total votes. So that's a trend report that we keep track every year, and it's interesting to see.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Smith, did you have a question?
I guess maybe this is just something I would ask that we look into. My understanding is that there was a previous warrant article similar to the 5% retention of funds for 2.5% in 2013. I guess I'm trying to understand whether we simply revert back to the previously passed warrant article, and if not, why? You're shaking your head, so.
If I could, Liz,
Go right ahead.
we had the same question, Brian.
Okay.
So we reached out, and our understanding with our legal counsel now is that the vote was to remove the last prior decision of the voting body. The last prior decision was to move from 2.5 to 5. So to eliminate 5, our understanding is that we are reverting back to a 0% ability. We are not reverting back to what the previous voting body had. That decision is binding that way.
Okay.
We can continue to look deeper, but we're confident now with the questions we've asked thus far that that's our understanding.
Gotcha.
If this group wanted something more formalized, we could seek that out, but
Okay.
our understanding.
That's fine. I know the question had been floated. I was not aware that the council had confirmed one way or the other.
Yeah, we had the same question right away.
Okay, any other questions or concerns with the election results of the recount?
Thanks for this report, Maria. It's always fascinating to look at the numbers through the years.
So next is the budget to actual review.
So in that one, I'm gonna move to the big,
The big
papers,
pages.
the big pages that you have in front of you. The first one is this report that has the budget to actual results for since 2018 to 2024. This is a line item report. I provide this to you guys every year. Is by account number. And it includes both the budget, the voted budget for each of the years and the actual results. And it also includes the 2025, the current year budget. As you can see, well, there are a couple of things, especially for the new people that have never seen this report. On page number 4, you can see a little below halfway, there is a line that says official admin services that had expenses up until fiscal 2021 actuals. That line, I get a lot of questions about that line. That is because that's when we used to be part of SAU 55. That was the Timberlane Regional School District contribution to SAU 55 because we became our own SAU in fiscal year 2022. Now all the expenses are recorded in the appropriate lines, whereas the superintendent of business or HR or so. I always get questions about that line, so I would like to point that out. Again, it's a line item report. Most of the years after you guys review it, I get questions about specifics. I am happy to provide any information that you want to see. If you want to need any further on any of the lines, me or my team, you can reach out to me and me or my team will be happy to provide any details. Bottom line, we see that the 3-year actual increase, so from year 22 to year 24, year 22 we became SAU 106, the actuals have increased 6%. And from that last year that we were SAU 55 to the most current year, fiscal 2024, the actuals have increased 7%. So.
Hate to interrupt, I have to leave, I have a sick kid, so sorry to cut it short.
Thank you.
Yay. Not the fun kind
You're
of
not
sick.
cheering for a sick kid. We all know that.
I'd rather be here.
So as a transition to that, so that is the detailed information, the line in detail for that information. Next, I want to start with this dashboard. That the first graph is the actual expenses. So this is pretty much that report summarized in some graphs, so we can look at the visuals. The first graph has the actual expense reports by year, again from 2018 to 2024. You can see there how the actuals have increased throughout the years. Being the highest in year 23 and 24, which most of that is capital improvements that the school district has done. We also have in those 2 years the capital improvements that we did with the ESSER funds that were given to the district for the COVID grants. Then in the next graphs, I kind of broke up expenses in certain categories. The second graph shows the expenses by category, so salaries up top. In the middle, we have the benefits and the operating expenses. And as you can see, the trend in the operating expenses has increased for the reasons that I just mentioned. The third graph has the financing and the fund transfer lines. I separated these two because I often get questions about these two lines. So the black line, the fund transfer line, is the line that we carry is 3 lines that we carry in the operating budget by law. One is for food service funds, the other one is for grant funds, and the other one is for the operations of the PAC. The grants funds is the amount of funds that we are projecting to get from federal grants, federal and state grants. The food service line is for those funds that are equally federal or state to support our food service program. And then what this line is showing is the actual expenses for those 3 lines. So as you can see, that actually has increased as well throughout the years. And then the financing line is in 2018, we were still paying the 20-year bond that this district got in 2020. So as you can see that we finished paying that bond in fiscal 2020, then we didn't have any financing. And then in 2024, we start paying for the $25 million lease that we now have. So I just also wanted to show that how we have our recess on financing for 4 years and then we pick up again. And at the bottom, I broke down expenses in the 3 main categories that you can see there, technology being obviously a direct impact to students. We have the first line, the software and license, is where all the softwares that we use both to provide education to our students and to run the operations of the district. So any systems that we use for accounting, for human resources, and also for the systems that we use in curriculum to provide education to the children. The technology equipment, the white line, as with all technology, we all are familiar how technology changes every day. So we are not different to have to upgrade constantly a lot of our systems. We also have the program for the computers, the one-to-one device for all of our students. So that program gets refreshed every year where 6th grade students and 9th grade students entering the middle and high school get a new Chromebook when they start in those 2 years. And then the last one is just the telecommunications, which is basically our phone lines, our Wi-Fi, and just anything that allows us to have communication within the district. The second graph is the student services. These are all the services that are directly related to students. At the top, we have the transportation line. As we all know, we are legally obligated to transport our children. The second line is the tuition. That tuition line is comprises a couple things. One is the out-of-district placements that we have for special education students. And the other one is the city students that go into Votech school, to Pinkerton or to Salem, that we pay tuition for. The third line, professional services. This is the line, obviously, it has increased in the last 2 years because we have not been able to hire employees for those positions that we are legally required to have to provide those services to our students. So that line has increased significantly in the last 2 years because of that. The supplies, as you can see, is a flat line. I have to say that our principals and overall all the employees in our district are very, very cautious on how they buy and use supplies. I have to commemorate every single principal of every school because, as you can see, throughout the years, they have not increased that line, which we all know that cost of paper and cost of everything has increased. So I think that's also related to the innovation and rethinking every year of processes and procedures of how we try to become more paperless, try to come with other alternatives instead of using goods. And then the last line is the books and info resources lines. That is all the resources for curriculum and education, which again has been pretty flat because it's always it's a cycle of replace books for replace resources. So not every year every single subject gets replaced, but it's in cycles. And the last one is facilities. As you can see, the highest increase in facilities expense has been the capital. Again, we have the grants that we received for COVID in the years 2022 and 2023. That's where all the projects for those grants were executed. And we also increased, the budget committee increased the capital line put $1 million into a capital line in fiscal year 2023. So that also is reflected in there. The second line, the dark gray, is utilities. As you know, we implemented in fiscal year 2023. It was the beginning of the implementation for those projects that are going to help us to reduce our utility usage. And we also have to be conscious of the rates that utilities have nowadays. So it's a between the two, the savings and the increasing rates. The third line is the light gray, which is the repair and maintenance. As we all know, we have aging buildings that require a lot of repairs and maintenance. We have systems that keep failing every year. This year alone, we have, I think it was two smart pumps that we have to replace, 2 or 3 pumps that we have to replace. Those are unexpected expenses that we have to replace and maintain. The next line is the capital equipment. Again, every time something breaks that is considered capital, we have to fix it or replace it. And then the blue line, which is the insurance, again, pretty flat. We don't have a lot of claims for our insurance, so that is what has helped us to maintain the rate rather stable and not increasing. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer any inquiries that you guys have.
Any questions? Yep, okay, we can do the next.
I'll take the next one.
Okay.
So the next one is, two important constituents in our communities. Obviously, the first is students. So the enrollment graphs are up top for you. You can see the trend by town, by year, and by grade. And then the bottom 3 graphs are specific to positions. And again, both of these graphs we're walking you through that Maria did prior as well are from February of 2025. These would not include any of the reductions that I previously went forward and through with you at the beginning of the evening. But the positions, you can see them by school on the left, by type in the center, and by instructional category on the right-hand side. These will be dashboards that we're going to continue to update on a monthly basis through the cycle. And we would also ask you to tune into the school board meetings. We're also doing something very similar with them, but real quick snapshots of data, but also in real time, but also based against the history that we can see trends and things over time. That's all we have in terms of those 2 slides, Liz.
Okay, thank you. And the budget process overview, how we're going to.
It's this beautifully, wonderfully written document, I believe, in your packets. And it kind of outlines where we're going to go. As you folks maybe are thumbing through or reading through that, you've had your organizational meeting. This is kind of setting the stage for the season. We'll get to the meeting calendar, I think, later in the meeting. But really, this is the outline for how we're going to go through our process of identifying what the district needs and then assigning cost for that and projecting out as best as we can. So it's multi-layered. There'll be systems within our own administrative team and throughout the district with some input from folks in terms of what we're going to be recommending and moving through. You can certainly entertain any questions about process that folks would have at this time.
Any questions? Okay. And then, oh, look, meeting schedule.
Proposed draft meeting schedule.
Proposed.
Liz, if I could highlight one thing before folks look
Absolutely.
at it. Heather and Maria really concentrated and tried to put a schedule together that allowed all presentations to happen and then leave 4 types of meetings or 4 robust times to continue to revisit. We're really committed this year to a timeline that we get to a proposed budget maybe more quickly than we did last year. So we've set a meeting calendar around that to help us move in that direction. We can, of course, add as we need to as we go through, but we feel like with the time that's carved here, with the substitution for some of the tours and the facility pieces, that we'll spend more time at this table and to be able to produce a result maybe more quickly.
Okay, I would like to make a recommendation that we move special ed and student services and split them between 10-9 and 10-23. So it gives us an additional week to have conversations about the budget.
Well,
Um,
and or it seems inevitably every year somebody can't make their scheduled time.
And leave something open.
Every year,
Mhm.
somebody
so-
can't make it.
So, and leave that week, and if no one is,
That would be like a makeup week.
or go right into, because we'll know within the second week of second round of presentations if we're gonna see everything in the first 3 rounds. I'd rather give us time to have the discussion and maybe shave off some time at the end, so we're not crunching January 9th or 10th, because we're needing to make corrections and motions.
We're talking about potentially moving student services to the 9th, is that?
That would be if we could move them to the 9th and special ed to the 23rd.
Well, those two usually go together, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they move the CIP and then move special ed and student services to 10-23. But I'm sure we can figure out a way to have them present together.
Okay.
Yeah, and the size of those budgets are also radically different, right? The special education is certainly at a higher degree of monetary
Right,
value than the
Than
other.
the other one.
As they're designed right now, I would have no problem separating them and having them present differently. So that's what we'll do. So the 13th then becomes an open meeting.
And if everybody has presented, then we can go directly into moving 11-24 into 11-13. And if we have one person, we can move part of 11-24 into 11-13. Just to get the conversation going.
Fantastic. And to help us with this calendar, just to inform this committee, Maria and I are going to begin this process also earlier on our end with the people down the vertical chain that we have. So really come when July, the calendar turns there, that's when we're going to start
All right,
that work here.
all right. I appreciate that accommodation.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or concerns about the schedule? And then we will work on the tours and whatnot for the schools if people want to do that.
Yeah, we're going to start with the principals.
Because I like
Yeah.
how we did it last year.
Yep.
So
On the open nights.
on the open,
Yeah.
that worked out really well. We were able to talk to people. And I was in all of the buildings and I bumped into the same couple in every single building on every single night.
Yeah.
They had no children in the district, but they were coming and looking and seeing and investigating
Yeah.
what their tax dollars were paying for. And they were highly impressed. So, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it was definitely a better use of time than having the separate building tour nights,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
weren't typically well attended. So at least when you have people there, you can say, hey, take this virtual tour, see what your district is doing in your buildings. I don't know how many people scanned the QR code and did the thing, but we saw quite a few.
We saw quite a few walking around. And then Sandown North, and I think Danville had a spot for us to be so that people could come and talk with us, and answer questions. So that was quite a nice touch, that they would do that. So there's a positive,
Thank you for that feedback. That's
yeah,
actually
that's, and
really
maybe
useful.
if we're doing the middle school and the high school, maybe, having us regroup maybe in the PAC, the Performing Arts Center, or in the cafeteria in one of those buildings, because they were done on separate nights, correct? Yes, like a week apart. So a central location as well. I know the gym teachers the high school were in the cafeteria, so space is a little limited, I know, for them. So, finding places that we, budget committee members around and then some people sitting and talking with people. That seemed to work out.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's see. Any other, are we all set on the meeting schedule? Okay. Any other business, or anything anybody would like to bring up? Okay, we have the dates and we will get out, the dates for the tours once they're set. And need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this
We have a
meeting.
motion,
Second.
and a second, all those in favor? Unanimous. Have a great night, thank you, see you all in September.
Great summer.
Have a wonderful summer.